What's going on there, folks? Good evening. Earthmaster here, checking in on the live stream on this beautiful Friday evening, July 9th, 2021, about 6:11 p.m. West Coast time in California. A 5.5 earthquake as an aftershock, the latest quake on the globe. This comes after a 6.1 earthquake striking that same region just a short time ago. Let's go ahead and check out some specifics of that earthquake in the vicinity south of Philippines, it looks like. Let's see, the USGS has this around the Indonesia area, which is correct. 68 kilometers below surface for this 6.1. That was followed up, looks like about 7 or 8 minutes later by a 5.5 aftershock at a little bit more shallow depth there, about 10 kilometers. This region right here, very capable of producing some significant earthquakes. I mean, you can see, this area in the world is unlike any other when it comes to plate tectonics and the movement of the plates, so to speak. It's pretty crazy. I mean, you can look at it on the map here and see, just if you take away these lines, you can see this is kind of like where it all starts, when it kind of pushes movement. I'm firmly believing that movement kind of starts here in this region, actually down here to the south, and works its way this way with deep earthquakes. But this area very capable of some significant quakes. But today, so far, like I said, 6.1, 5.5. Prior to that, within the vicinity, we've seen another quake of 5.6. Some pretty deep movement as well within that region. And a little bit more deeper earthquake, but a much smaller magnitude of 4.5, striking at 448 kilometers. If you look back here to the east, we had a 5.1 near Papua New Guinea. But overall, looking at this movement here shows us some significant deep movement and a good possibility of seeing something continue in that region. There's 6.1. That's a pretty good size quake. You know, don't let anybody fool you. That's a pretty good size one if you're right next to it, or I should say right above it. Japan area seeing a little bit of movement along the Japan Trench. And also some deeper movement in this region as well. We had a 4.4 at 145 kilometers up here into portions of the Japan Trench. Most of the other earthquake activity around the Japan Trench, but much shallower. We had a 5.3 at 10 kilometers right there, right smack dab on the subduction zone. Moving down here to the southeast, we'll go ahead and check out this movement. Would it surprise you if this is continued deep earthquake activity? Absolutely not, right? 111, look at this right here. This crest right here, right about in this area, in this circle, is where we see the deepest earthquakes in the world. I can kind of outline this a little bit more, but when you go to down 500-600 kilometers below surface, right about in here is where it all begins. But today, a 4.6, 433 kilometers below surface, pretty deep movement all along the Pacific Rim here, folks, up north and to the west here. What do we got up here along the Aleutian? Somewhat deep earthquakes, 58 kilometers for a couple of these along the Aleutian chain, 4.7 being the largest in that little cluster. Let's see what else we have here. Let's go ahead and click on the all magnitude map. By the way, no tsunami statement with that 6.1, 5.5. If we're looking at, depending on where we're at for earthquakes taking place and the depth of the earthquake, then we can talk about potential tsunami statements being issued. But this area, if it was much larger, 7.5 or plus, I would say, then we could be looking at a tsunami. But just too small of a magnitude to produce any type of movement out there in the ocean. Let's see, let's go ahead and check out the west coast. What's going on out there following that pretty good sized earthquake? Somebody said a 6-pointer is nothing. I read that in one of the comments. That actually means nothing to me, because the 6-pointer is actually pretty good. If you're around that region, I felt it over here in Chico, California, which is a significant distance from this region where this earthquake struck in the Antelope Valley area. That's pretty significant quake if I can feel it that far away. Did not do any damage here, just felt kind of like a waving motion. But did see some rock slides and some minor damage in that area, which is pretty much uninhabited. A lot of desert out there. I'm sure there's a few residents. A town of what's this town here? Colville area. Not a big town. Definitely not a high population density area. But it did do some damage along the mountains out there when it comes to rock slides and whatnot. So luckily, it wasn't any more significant movement. Of course, we're looking at the last 24 hours of all magnitudes. That does not include the earthquake activity that struck yesterday or the aftershock activity. So I'm turning on the 7 days, all magnitudes. That way we can see a general idea of what's going on when it comes to the aftershock sequences here in the Antelope Valley. We got about, let's exclude these yellow ones, okay? Exclude some of these yellow ones, because those are, well, actually, let's not exclude them, because they are part of the system. They are the earthquakes or aftershocks that took place there. I forgot about that. And that includes the main quake. The yellow basically states that it's just over the last week, but we had not seen too much earthquake activity prior to this big quake, the 6-pointer that struck yesterday. So all of these quakes are basically within the time frame of where this 6-pointer struck. 395 earthquakes. That's pretty significant. Not bad. Much lower than what we seen down in Ridgecrest 2 years ago, July 4th, July 5th earthquake sequence there in Ridgecrest. We've seen thousands of earthquakes immediately after the 6.4. And then, of course, the 7.1 struck later. The next day, about 36 hours or so, somewhere around there, maybe 40 hours or so later. And that's why I kind of like to not jump to the conclusion that we're done with earthquake activity. The USGS tends to put out their little earthquake forecasts, just to, I don't know why they started that, but they did. Because you really cannot predict earthquakes, and I never do on this channel. We look at swarms and we look at probabilities, but you can never really say, yes, there's going to be a much larger quake taking place here tomorrow within the 7 range. That's not going to happen. But we can look at trends. We can look at the buildup of aftershocks, depending on their magnitudes, how much we're getting, and then kind of make a decision from there. But I tell you what, this is significantly lower than what we've seen down in Ridgecrest area 2 years ago. Of course, the dynamics of the plate interface system, you can see it right there. It's very defined. It was spread out over a larger area in a different fault system than what we're seeing up here in the Antelope Valley area. And the Antelope Valley Fault is where this earthquake struck. And it's a pretty good sized amount of aftershocks, folks. I'm not going to lie, but the probability as time extends past that 24-hour mark, I think goes down. But don't let it fool you, right? Because I said 40 hours from when the 6.4 struck 2 years ago on July 4th, Ridgecrest, to July 5th, 2019, when the 7.1 hit. So it's possible. Let's get past that window first before we say, okay, that's it, we're done. So what do we got far as significant aftershock activity goes? Let's go ahead and go 4.5 and above. The largest one so far remains the 5.2, which happened very shortly after the 6-pointer. And I'm just talking a matter of seconds. This is why this earthquake felt a lot longer. Some people reported feeling it for as long as 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. That would explain the sequences of earthquakes here. 2 earthquakes. 5.2 is much smaller than a 6.0. But, and I think I kind of felt the second one too. I was on the live stream when it happened. I definitely felt the first one. It's a wavy motion, kind of like I'm on a waterbed, but I don't have a waterbed. And then I felt the second one. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I thought I felt a second earthquake. And no doubt that's exactly what I felt. So that explains the long duration of the earthquake yesterday. Since that 5.2, looks like a 4.6, couple 4.6s Let's go ahead and check out the 7 days, 2.5 and above. This gives us a general idea of weeding out the microquake earthquake activity. 155 earthquakes of 2.5 and above. That's pretty significant. That's a good amount of movement here in this region. And you can kind of see the migration of the quakes around the main epicenter of that 6-pointer, right there in the yellow, kind of scattered out about this little valley right here around the Antelope Valley Fault, right there, which extends a little bit here. It's kind of in the Walker Lane area. I don't really want to get into that again. It's kind of a significant event that could take place 7 to 9 million years or so from here. Talking about how this could be the new plate boundary, with Reno being on the shore, or at least having an ocean view. But that's way down the road. I'll see if I can. I kind of covered that a couple years ago, I think, or maybe at least last year. I'll see if I can find it in my past videos and then use it as a an end video after this video, as far as like what's coming up next. So it's pretty interesting, but man, I don't want to get way off on that topic today. So for now, a whole bunch of movement, folks. There's definitely a whole bunch of movement. So let's include all magnitudes once again, and we're looking at 400. Let's go back down here. 397, 394 within this vicinity of the 6-pointer. Pretty good amount of earthquakes, no doubt. Looking over here, as far as what's happened since then, what are we looking at as far as seismic activity since then? Well, we haven't seen any major significant differences in seismic activity here along the west coast. Ridgecrest looks about the same. Garlock fault structure, the shear zone over here is pretty quiet. A little bit of earthquake activity off the coast of Santa Monica earlier, 2.3 southeast of Malibu. And there's some specific fault zones out here. Most of them pretty quiet for now. And some activity picking up along the San Jacinto fault area, which is a major player when it comes to the Pacific plate side of buildup of pressure. The San Andreas fault sits here. That's the major player, right, when it comes to building up pressure and being the major player, so to speak. San Andreas fault's no joke. Not a whole lot of movement on the San Andreas fault yet. Salton Sea pretty quiet over the last 24 hours. No swarms kicking off. And really, we haven't really seen any type of dynamic change in earthquake activity since that 6-pointer yesterday. Pacific Northwest pretty quiet. Some movement around Mount Rainier, but nothing, doesn't look like anything significant. No major deep activity. We'll check out the seismic graphs here in a little bit. We are seeing Idaho kick up a little bit inland into the Intermountain West around the Sawtooth Fault area. Of course, this area right here very capable of producing probably about a mid 6-pointer. And we've been watching this activity for quite a while. I believe this is aftershock activity following, I don't know if it's last year or the year before. I think it was last year, yeah. Last year when they seen the 6-pointer in this region, or close to a 6-pointer. I don't remember. There was some strange activity going on in Nevada. They had a 6-pointer there. They had a 6-pointer out in Salt Lake City area. And then they had the 6-pointer up here in Idaho. Just some weird activity. And we've been seeing the aftershock sequences for a while throughout Nevada and Idaho. Salt Lake City area, not a whole bunch. We haven't seen a whole lot of aftershock activity in that region lately. But after that good-sized earthquake out there last year, yes, we did. What do we got? As far as Yellowstone National Park goes, no swarming to speak of. No major magma movement. In fact, everything looks a lot quieter today following that earthquake activity in California. What do we got out here in the central area of the states? Oklahoma, pretty quiet. Some explosions around Tulsa, it looks like, or at least a quarry blast. Texas area, seeing a few earthquakes out there in the earthquake country of Guadalupe Peak. Pecos, Texas sits down here to the southeast. A couple 2-pointers. That's about it today, folks, for the earthquake country in Texas. Other than that, man, I tell you what, not a whole lot of movement, folks. Let's check out the tremor map. I don't know if it's been updated. 7.9 looks like it has. Only a little bit of movement into the parts of the Rogue Valley. It looks like north of Roseburg, Seattle, north of Seattle as well. This is movement tremor along the Cascadia subduction zone. This is much further inland, at least up here around Seattle, than I'm used to. So kind of keeping an eye on this activity here, well inland. Whether it's down dip much further, I don't know. I'm guessing it would be, right? The further inland that you get, the further deeper down it is into the subduction zone. So I have to keep an eye on that. But either way, only 27 epicenters of tremor along the Cascadia subduction zone today. Let's see what else we got here, folks. I think that's about it. Me and Mimi's did do the update, or the drawing at least, to the winners earlier today. So congrats to those 3 winners. If you were unsure if you won or not, go check out the video. I apologize about the audio. I had no clue it was going to be so low. I did order, and it's coming in the mail, a remote microphone for events like that when I'm away from my cell phone at a distance. So I'll have a Bluetooth microphone that will be much clearer and much stronger than just the cell phone microphone itself. So that's definitely coming up. 75,000 subscribers is our next giveaway. Still kind of up in the air on what I'm going to give out, but I think it'll be cool. And then, of course, the big one at 100K. That's going to be a big one. I'm going to look at giving away some significant prizes on that event. All right, folks, have a good day. Decals are out in the mail to those folks that requested them. Man, I got more coming. Had to order some more. I went through quite a bunch. My fingers are pretty sore from writing all the letters and envelopes today and yesterday, but they're in the mail. All right, guys, have a good night. We'll chat to you a little bit later. Stay safe out there watching Mammoth Lakes on the seismograph view for earthquake activity in Southern Cal. That's going to be the station right here. Looks like another earthquake striking around the region of the Antelope Valley, a 3.8. 100% positive. That's at 3.8 showing up there on the Mammoth Lake station. So activity has not died down, folks. The likelihood of a larger quake, of course, diminishes with time, but it is still there. The potential is still there over the next 12 hours or so. So just be on guard, stay safe, and have a great, safe Friday evening. And we'll chat you guys a little bit later. Peace out.